Welcome to this very special Mol België Season 13 recap from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Holmstone, and joining me, as you will hear soon, for this trip to Antwerp is Logan fucking Saunders. This is inexplicably the fourth Diary of a Mole finale episode, and the fifth time that we have been to a finale. It's absolutely bonkers. Obviously, no spoilers yet. This is currently like the gap between the press screening and us chatting to people, and then the finale airing on television, so no spoilers whatsoever. I will not tell you who the mole is, I won't tell you who the winner is, I won't tell you who the loser is, yet. But be warned that from here on out, you will hear who the winner, loser and mole are, and our immediate thoughts. See you soon. It is 2:12 and we have just finished watching the finale, and for the first time ever, Logan Saunders was wrong at a finale.
and continuing his streak.
Yeah, we'll ignore the fact that I was wrong for the fifth straight year. Fifth straight season. Fifth straight season that I've
Sounds
been
like
to.
something I would do.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to talk about unfortunate suspicions just yet. That's for a few weeks yet. But for this season, yes, I was completely wrong. We've just looked at our weekly suspicions, and Sarah was not in the top three for me at all.
I'm amazed by how little red there is on my screen for the whole season.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned this all season, but you didn't lose anyone until Final Five, which is very impressive.
I think what really screwed me on not really suspecting Sarah as much as I could have was when I was sort of on the...
Wrong again.
Yes, 5 in a row!
We call that a pop.
Yeah, that's a
Papa
Bear clean sweep, I think. Because I don't know if he knows that, but you also had winner and loser on your pool team for the first time ever.
Yeah.
You did a Harmstone clean sweep there, unfortunately.
At least I had Alexy picked as winner.
You did, as did Bindles. Bindles got it perfectly correct in the end, annoyingly.
You could just tell that Alexy had a certain amount of certainty to it.
Yeah.
I was thinking while watching this episode too, it reminded me of like the same energy that Lloyd had during the Mexico season, where you're just so certain as to who the mole is that you don't really try to tilt the table to deflect suspicion onto. You just want to keep adding money into the pot. And that's definitely what Alexy was doing towards... it seemed like to me anyway what he was doing towards the end of the season, especially like picking in the Batman Club challenge, picking going with for the 5,000 euros.
The annoying thing for me is during the last challenge, I turned to you and went, "I'm not sure it's Michèle anymore.
Yeah,
it might be Sarah." Fuck.
How many times did I ask you if you were locking?
Three
times. I asked you, like, are you sure?
Yeah.
You just want to. You're thinking I couldn't be wrong. I couldn't let you down because it's a.
Yeah, It was part you always being right, and also part me not ever forgiving myself if I was at a finale, and I changed at the last second and was wrong.
I mean, you just had to go through the Thailand season of Vidum with me suspecting somebody who was already on Renaissance.
Yeah.
That should have been a hint that maybe you shouldn't tack on to my mole suspicion on finale night as much as you should.
But you're never wrong when we get to a finale. This is the annoying thing. So your streak's broken. My streak, unfortunately, isn't. Oh, God.
I was just... it was right from day one that I thought, Michèle's giving me strong mole vibes.
Same here.
And
that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
At least I worked out the mole was a woman.
Yeah.
That doesn't always happen.
That's true, yeah, because you were way off on the
yeah, but you were way off as well. Like,
yes.
Don't BS me on that.
Yeah, because what is it? It's this season I was wrong. Kami, I was definitely wrong.
Yeah, basically every finale you've not been to, you've been wrong on.
No, I got Van Boel and Helene, I think.
Yeah, like since we started covering that, I mean.
I'm trying to think. It was, Kami I definitely got wrong. Did I get Greece right? I definitely got Germany wrong. I was not on Leonard. Those were the two I was thinking I might.
I can't remember if you're on Elena or not.
I think I was on Aline at the end.
I definitely was, but I can't remember whether you were.
I think I was, yeah.
Which is a very egotistical thing for me to say, I'm aware, but...
Yeah. So I'm at 7 out of 10 then?
Yeah. I also love how Gilles' obviously been listening to the podcast and not emailed us this year about it. So
maybe we just don't have any. Maybe once we start talking about horses, he's like, I'm not. I can't listen to this guy anymore.
I hope that when we talk to him, he does reference your love of horses. It would just really tickle me.
He'll reference my love for a lot of things.
Yeah, that's what you probably should be worried about at this point, I think.
Yeah. It's all the revenge for all the Papa Bear puns over the years.
Well, he's not necessarily aware we've stopped doing the Papa Bear puns, but we haven't stopped doing the photoshops.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently they've been replaced by Hilde photoshops thanks to Dindles.
Daily
This is
Hilde's.
the Daily Hilde.
But also, I have had a request today to show him Gilles-y Wonka.
What?
Are you not aware of
I'm
this?
not.
Let me
When
find
was
it.
this?
This was a few months ago.
Do you know what the caption should be? Tell me all about how you think Michèle is the mole.
Oh, God, yeah. So I'm obviously not going to live this down again, and I will have to come back for season 14 and be wrong for a 6th time.
I guess I have to start a new streak. I mean, The Undertaker lost his streak after, 21 WrestleManias?
Are you really comparing yourself to The Undertaker?
Yes.
Does he know how mics work? No.
We haven't had them in Canada.
No, not yet. We're working on it. We're just getting away from dial-up.
You press a big red button when it works, so yours will go again.
Yeah, right.
I'm prepared for you. It should start
It's
counting.
counting up, so
Yes.
I presume that means we're
It
now
does.
recording.
So Saunders has just
This is
learned
priceless.
how to use microphones after 3 years of us having these.
This is
You have
why
to
I
watch
don't work
it.
for a TV
If
network.
it starts to count down, you have to watch it. 'cause
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
it will explode.
Yeah. Will it be a pasta bomb or just a regular
It's
paint
for me to
bomb?
know.
Yeah.
Do you want to get the gloating out of the way again?
I have already.
5 years.
Yes.
5 wrong.
Yes.
He got it wrong though as well.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
was
just
my
me this
streak
year.
is my streak is broken.
Oh.
Yeah, this is the first year I was wrong.
Yeah.
For these finales.
We were both on
it
Michèle.
was bound to happen. It was
Yeah.
bound to happen. Just try not to make it to 5, because that would be embarrassing.
Yeah, it's mortifying at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, next year you're gonna know you're wrong. So whenever you get the urge to suspect someone, you can
Just go against
go
it.
against it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to probably be wrong again. But
Yeah, the irritating thing is I leaned over to him after the second challenge and said, I'm not sure it's Michèle anymore.
I asked him 3
I
times,
wavered.
are you locking that in as
Yeah.
on Michèle? Are you locking it in? I gave him the chance because he just agreed with whatever I was, whoever my suspect
No,
was.
I was always on Michèle. It's just, I felt a little more confident because you were also on Michèle.
yeah. But to
That's
be
how it
fair,
works.
it's probably not the easiest year to
No.
amass the mole, but that's okay. But it's
No,
still-
we were convinced it was a woman, at least.
yeah. Well, most people are.
Yeah, it was
At this
44,
point, yeah.
40, I think it was.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that,
40 and
that's right.
6, no,
12.
around 8 or 10 or 12,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, in the end, it doesn't matter.
No.
What matters is that you're here.
Yeah.
I hope, did you get all the references? Because you haven't had any subtitles for the...
I mean,
finale?
I'd say we got about 70-80% of it.
Okay.
And then I just read whatever
Yeah.
Michael had typed down.
Before we record the finale podcast, I'll watch it with subtitles and make sure I'm right.
Maybe there will come a day where we will have English subtitles for our
That would be
ever-growing
nice.
international
Yeah.
community. But
Yeah.
we have, however, provided a horse. It's out on the parking, so should you feel so inclined, it's there for you. We aim to please.
Yeah, please don't let him please it here. Certainly not in public.
Oh, I say we aim to please.
Oh.
He has, not very subtly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It
Michael was
reminded
not
me-
subtle,
it
but
might have
Michael
been-
unsubtly reminded me.
It might have been unsubtle nagging
passed
from
on
me,
the
I
I'll be
have,
honest.
listen, I have one of each.
Oh,
There you go.
Thank you kindly.
that's what Nimrod was missing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I don't know who's gonna take what, but
We'll work it out
yeah.
after you go.
Yeah, it's vrijstelling. You
Yep.
need to work on your accent.
Vrijstelling.
And pasvraag.
Pasvraag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty good actually, your accent.
Uh,
All right.
I'm
so
better
that's-
than I
Just
used
nice
to
and
be.
sturdy.
We now say België.
Yeah. Not many people have one of these, so don't let it get stolen.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, and can I also say the freebies this year are
Yeah.
fantastic.
You think?
Yeah, I'm very impressed.
Feels kind of cheap, no? Yeah.
No, compared to some of the stuff we've had.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Compared to
true.
what I
This is cool,
experienced in
Yeah.
Thailand.
though. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Logan's the expert on every single Thai reference you made, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lived there for 6
true,
months.
yeah, yeah,
6 months
that's
a few
true.
years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
But speaking of which, you didn't make it down to Phuket this season.
I
What,
am-
what influenced the choices for location?
Well,
within
it's
Thailand?
embarrassing, but most of it was budget-wise.
I was
because
thinking just based on
Yeah.
the map, Bangkok and Ayutthaya.
yeah.
And
there's a lot to do
Pattaya.
around Bangkok. A lot of day trips around Bangkok, and it's getting very expensive to fly with the crew.
Yeah.
But not only fly, you lose a whole day of shooting with it because
it's such a long way.
it's a long way, but it's a hassle to get through the airport with cameras and batteries and
the Mol's briefcase. Do you know, like, how'd you get that through security? Like, why do you have something that can dislodge watermelons? A sticker on a door.
Yeah, we had some weird looks when, but all of that is art department. So I wasn't there. When
that wasn't your problem.
Nope. They've seen the inside of prisons before. No, they haven't. So sadly, it was budget-wise, because if you draw it on a map, it's very, very restrained little piece of Thailand, and I mean, you know as well as anyone. You do it has a lot to offer.
Yeah,
but you know,
I mean, the excitement when I worked out you were going to Ayutthaya. I loved Ayutthaya.
Yeah, that was a highlight, and even that was kind of a long drive.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to be in Chiang Rai or something like that. Really
way up north, yeah.
Way
Chiang
up north.
Mai,
Rai, even
even
further
the White
up
Temple
north.
or something.
Yeah, that's one. Or to be in Krabi province, not Krabi town, because that's a little bit too crowded. But the province is very beautiful. But you know, there you go.
Yeah,
you don't always get what you want.
Yeah, but you still got, even within that strip of Thailand, you still got a lot of amazing locations out of it.
Enough to make or to theme the most that we could theme the season, because it was a little bit less than past seasons. It's probably a little bit more difficult to theme Thailand for a Belgian viewer who hasn't necessarily been there. So I mean, the ping pong in Pattaya is quite obvious, and the Buddhism theme in Ayutthaya and the Dragon Tower, but next, it's not like Sicily where pretty much everything you look at is screaming Italy at you.
You can work out stereotypes to work there. Or things you immediately think of with it.
But I mean, I don't mind it. Not every season has to be heavily themed towards where we are.
Especially coming off the last two, which were both very heavily themed.
US and Sicily, that's right. Yeah. So yeah.
When we spoke to you last year, was Thailand already the choice? Because I think you said you'd pretty much decided.
Yeah.
Have you got a decision for next year already?
Already, yeah. There's a team that's been working on it for the last 2 months, I think now. So yeah, it's well on the way.
Excellent.
Yeah. Are you excited for your next location?
I am because it's one of the very few things I have a say in. So, but it's a country I absolutely adore.
So that rules out Canada.
Well, it hasn't been threatened by its southern neighbor yet, so
it'd be very expensive to film in Canada now. There's tariffs.
It's a great thing about coming out to Europe is I don't have to worry about
for now, because
with being annexed by the States.
Probably less than a year, you have a U.S. passport, so MAGA Saunders. You're going to have to lose a horse, though.
That's my problem.
He's not going to edit it out.
Oh, God, no. I'm going to double down.
I went with a group of local friends to the States, to New Orleans for Mardi Gras back in March, and we said that's the last time we're going down to the
I hear a lot of
States
people say that,
Yeah.
I don't particularly want to go back there now.
Yeah.
Whereas there's a lot of the country I haven't seen yet, but nah. No.
Doesn't appeal.
No, it doesn't appeal, which is a very sad remark, but yeah.
Yeah, I have an aunt and cousin that we're really close to that lives just across the border in Washington State, and they're not even going to they're not even going to come up to Canada to visit us just because they're so worried about getting back in.
Wow.
Because my one aunt, she's been living in the States for over 50 years now, but she still has a green card. She's not technically a U.S. citizen, so even though she's almost 80 years old,
she's
not taking that risk. Because she might end up in El Salvador instead.
It's fucking scary, is what it is. Yeah.
So, how did you feel the season went?
I loved it. I've gotten a question from quite some journalists here. Mm-hmm. I'm especially happy because it's different enough from the past couple of seasons that we made, and we have a cheeky mole.
Very cheeky, I presume.
Well, you'll see the cheekiness in the last episode. She has surprised us on a number of occasions, which we always like.
Yes.
And it's totally different from last year, whereas the starting point was maybe we should try to give the mole some kind of advantage this year. But that turned out actually pretty good because you're not into soccer, right?
No. Not barely.
I have knowledge.
But you're from Manchester area, right?
Yeah.
Only if I'm dating somebody who's really into soccer,
Okay,
then,
all right.
then I play along.
I always say it's like De Bruyne from Manchester
Yeah.
City gives a great pass, but Haaland still has to head it in. So the briefcase were a couple of nice little extras.
Yeah, the briefcase was starting points.
Well, not even a starting point, because the starting point for pretty much everything was how would you play this?
Yeah.
And then afterwards it was a nice extra, but there was still some work left to do. You still had to, on the train, change amounts in a briefcase, which is very, very high risk operation. And especially she had a lot more to do next, apart from the briefcase.
Because the briefcase ones we know about were all fairly high risk.
Yes. But we wouldn't have done it otherwise, because if it's too easy, it's not funny, it's not nice. And there had to be some kind of high risk operation for the Mol prior or during a game, and she always brilliantly did it.
Yeah, because she didn't always make the choices that we'd think a Mol would make, like the waxing, like the dancing.
But try to remember that for next seasons, because a lot of people tell me that specific comment.
Yeah,
you don't always have the liberty to do exactly what you want.
Yeah.
It's not always the A scenario. People may want to make a choice for reasons different than only being the perfect Mol. So don't get too thrown off the scent by what you see. It's not. We kind of never have the ideal situation.
Yeah.
And you have to try to stay upright in an ever-changing set of circumstances.
Be flexible.
Yeah.
What's the best Hilde scene that didn't make it onto air during the episodes?
There will be a DVD coming out next week.
In Canada we still use DVDs, so even better.
Just where did you find her?
She's fantastic.
She's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
A+ casting.
Yes.
Yeah.
With her.
Yes, but the same goes for a guy you have been slagging off, which is Jan. I mean, I don't get how you're not in love with that man.
We didn't really see.
Well, he's brilliant. Believe you me.
Yeah.
He could be sat here and partake in this conversation exactly as you would.
Yeah.
He's a great, great guy.
Yeah.
But Hilde, she's fantastic, and I promise you, she gave us. I mean, she surprised us as well.
Yeah, because the English language contingent are obsessed with her. I'll be honest. Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah.
But you know, she came to me when she left the game, and she said, "Haven't I been too far in some scenes? I feel like I have." Oh, you guys, you'll edit it out, or I trust you. And then
he was like, nope.
Never in a million years I'm going to edit it out. But you can do it still in a way that she's delightful and lovable.
Yeah, she was.
And she is. She's a genuinely great person.
Yeah.
I must say, no one suspected that we would end up this season with the showmance between her and Nimrod there. The most unexpected coupling I think we've ever had in the Mol.
Well, I've asked Nimrod how he felt about it, and he couldn't wait to see her back, to hug her back. So his unease in that scene is one of the most beautiful scenes of unease I've ever seen. That's what makes it hilarious. I think.
Does it topple Senna and Bernard's mom in the bathtub there from last season?
That's it. The unease in. I think I would compare it to the scene where he starts to sing Lady Gaga in a car where everyone's shit-faced. No, they're not shit-faced. They're pissed. In a car where everyone's pissed. Mm-hmm. That was the same kind of unease which made me howl with laughter. So.
Absolute blessing getting a scene like that where Hilde just starts making out with him.
Yes, and it's a prime example of what I always say. We can write 100 scenarios. Yeah. It will always be something different, and this one we couldn't have written it. No one
would have believed it.
Yes, that's the first thing. It would have remained a draft.
Yeah.
Was there anything that the Thai government or any shop owners didn't know about in terms of what you guys were doing, similar to like the drunk museum heist in South Africa, where you didn't disclose everything to the people who operated the museum?
We tend to not disclose very much because that would more often than not get us banned.
I was thinking of Utia because I went to a Utia before, and I was thinking, I don't know if they would have let you, if they knew everything to let you do all that with the balloons.
They did not. It's we had super nice, very intricate helmets, like the deities that the Thai people worship, and the film board intervened and said, "You can. This is
offensive."
Yes, it's offensive, and I think they're right.
Yeah.
So we had to break the helmets in front of them, and then I don't know how render them bland, and which we did, and then they were satisfied. But that's happened a couple of times. Yeah, they're they're next to useless, if I may say so. The Thai film board, they were a pain in the ass in most circumstances.
Really,
getting in the way and not really. Not interested, and sometimes intervening, I think, just for the sake of intervening. But it was never a fundamental problem or something. So it was always easily fixed.
Yeah, Thai bureaucracy, I even know from personal experiences, it's an experience. It takes a lot of patience.
There's also the cultural difference when you ask a Thai person. So it's okay. This is settled. We're okay. We can shoot there. Yes, with a big smile, and that yes, and the big smile both being no. It hasn't been settled, but so they tend to say yes quite often, and you have to triple check everything. But we had a great local team that they did know their way around bureaucracy and stuff like that.
I think it was a really good season again.
Thank you.
I know I say this every year, but you guys just. It's ridiculously consistent how good your show is.
Well, it's what I said when I stood in the front an hour ago. The main thing I'm ever more convinced is the cast.
Yeah.
If you don't like the cast, then everything we do doesn't really matter. And we have a pretty good streak.
Yeah, you
there,
really do.
but it's no science. So maybe someday. We'll get a cast that's a little bit less lovable, but this one again was great people, great company, and I'm most proud of that. Being able to find 10 people that you would go on a trip with.
Is there a particular sort of person you want to see in future?
I mean, I'm always happy when people and games turn out differently than the previous years, so I'm pretty charmed by the final twist in which the Mol takes a very high risk, a 12,000 euro risk, and ends up losing it against the group. I think that's a breath of fresh air. When she told us she wanted to go big, I could live with both outcomes, either a very low pot and a very efficient Mol, or the final win of the group versus the Mol, and you see her try with all her might. Even using reverse psychology and saying, I think we should go with that answer, which is the right answer. But they didn't fall for it. And I like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen every year. It doesn't need to happen every year. But I was kind of charmed by it,
Especially when it's all like within their control. Like, because we've seen it with Views the Mole earlier this year where, there were certain challenges set up where you just knew they were really tilting the table in favor of money being taken out of the pot. How were the contestants supposed to defend against a big pot drain?
They need a chance. They always need a fighting chance. They will very often screw that chance up, but they need the possibility. It's like the poker table with the lottery.
Right. Yeah.
If a group plays it optimally, they get away with a lot of money. Yeah. And no one has any advantages, and so there must always be the possibility. If you don't do that, then it's not a game anymore. It's not a reality show anymore.
Yeah.
I think.
It's very interesting that you guys went to Thailand and Vidin went to Cambodia at the same time.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that happening, or was it?
Yes, we were aware because they aired, I think, a month after we came back. And the first thing we saw, or I think 2 weeks after we came back, the first thing we saw was a skyscraper in Phnom Penh.
And then
so
loads of Buddhism themed, and you're just going, oh god.
Which of course is not a big surprise, but no, we have actually zero contact. So where they go, where we go. If they have a really good idea in a show, we'll probably nick it. But no, it's pure coincidence. It doesn't really matter. There is not much overlap between both I mean, you guys obviously, but in Flanders, I think most people tend to stick to the Flemish version.
Yeah, because I think Avro air your version as well on their streaming
They do
service.
on Monday night.
Yeah.
And it apparently it's very laggy and sometimes not on time. So
That doesn't sound like the Avro we know.
Yeah.
Our bingo queen Fuzzy wants me to ask you a question.
Yes.
That I've been loading up because you're going to enjoy it.
Oh God.
She wants to know, what do you call the host of De Mol if he quit his job to open a chocolate factory?
Ooh. Jill the roaster? No. What's a chocolate factory?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
The punchline for this is courtesy of our good friend David Bindley. Gilles-y Wonka.
Wow. Gilles-y Wonka. This is like an Australian calling me a wanker. Wonka.
He's called Saunders far worse.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Because whilst we may only be calling you Papa Bear now, he's done a lot of photoshops.
Oh, we
Wonka.
didn't congratulate you on actually being.
I mean, I did.
Well, thank you.
I personally sent you an email.
Yeah, you did.
As soon as it was
That's true.
announced,
That's true.
but
No, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of downtime, which means I've been able to listen to a lot of podcasts and follow a lot of theories online,
And
which
laugh
makes
at
me. I'm sorry.
And laugh at them.
Well, laugh at them, but the biggest clue, the biggest hint towards our dear and beloved Sarah hasn't been found, and we were a little bit stressed about it because it's very, very, very clear, and it's unmistakably pointing to one person and one person only,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been found. And I mean, you know us, we don't really put that much stock in good hints, and it's quite low on the list for us. But this year we had a good one, and I'm very happy it hasn't been found. Lots of them haven't been found actually.
Did
Some
you
of them
fool the
have, but
fans?
yeah. Well, not full, but we were. It's like a little bit of a dare to put it out in the open, and no one found it. So.
Did you like all of the hints that Michael and Bindles found that pointed towards Else as the mole?
You remind me which.
Well,
They had a big list.
The Thai character for Floor on the floor sign is Chan, which is Elsa's surname.
yes.
The cover of Dreams by the Cranberries in the first episode was in Cantonese.
Yes.
She's from Hong Kong.
That could have been a one. Yeah.
There was a couple of others that we spotted in the first couple of weeks. So when Else got the red screen, I did have to pause it and just go, "Fuck, I'm wrong again."
Again, yes. Yes. But you caught up really nicely after that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, about that. We were looking at all of our suspicions
Yes.
after the episode, and Logan suspected Sarah 3 times early in the season. Bindle suspected her once, which was last week.
Mhm.
I suspected her 0 times.
Well,
The thing is, the way we do the suspicions, she was always up there, just outside of the top.
yes,
So
but always up there.
yeah.
That's when your antenna should.
It wasn't a complete whitewash.
It's as soon as you think someone could be the mole, then you should never rule
Yeah.
them out.
Oh, I never discounted her necessarily. Just Michèle was more suspicious to me.
And in the end, it doesn't matter because it's very fun and nice to be wrong. I'm pretty sure if I quit this job today and next year I watch the show like a regular viewer, I'll be wrong as well.
I mean, it's not me coming to the finale without me being wrong.
I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
not to be able to laugh at you is it's a tradition.
Yeah.
That's when
It
we've
is
got to
a
pack it
tradition.
in.
It is.
It's
When time he's been wrong.
When I'm right, we've just got to pack it in and just go, yeah, I'm not coming anymore. Victory, finally.
Yeah. No, it's not going to happen.
Nah, no, it isn't. I'll be back next year, as you well know, and I'll be wrong again, as always.
Yes. I'll be, if you want me to cackle in your other ear, I can,
Yeah.
to be on the safe side. But
Just go back and forth between both ears.
Just get a recording of you and just have it on a button.
Yeah.
Go, Gilles cackle, Gilles cackle.
Yeah.
Chill the cackle.
Yeah.
Gilles-y Wonka is quite offensive, actually.
I'll feed it back to the
To
mansion.
me, I have obviously an untrained ear in accents, but Wonka,
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people say that in a not very friendly way, so...
Yeah, I mean, any experience in Manchester, you'll know it's more bell end if you're being insulted
Probably,
than wanker.
Yes.
Is there anything you want the sizable English language community to know after the season?
Well, first of all, what size is it? Someone asked me that.
It's a fair few thousand, I think, at this point. It's pretty popular.
4 digits.
Yeah.
4 digits.
Yeah, I
Cool,
think
man.
so.
I mean, we do decent numbers for for your show,
Right, cool.
comparatively to Vidum. And Vidum's a lot more easily accessible, obviously.
Oh, so you have more listeners to the Mol version of your... Oh, okay. Wow. No, I'm grateful for every single one of them. I still find it amazing that people... I had a mail from a couple in Hong Kong, not Belgians.
Okay,
Yukon.
Whoa, that's
They were watching and they had heard that someone from Hong Kong descent was in our show. There was a family in Switzerland that reached out. To
Oh,
say
really?
that. So I don't know. Probably they've seen it through the English subtitling, but it amazes me because it's still very at heart Flemish. With like Anna from Clouseau, no one in the world
Logan
knows
used this story literally half an hour ago.
Okay, yeah, but it's it's very
Yeah.
aimed at our viewers and not particularly the Swedish family or a South African dude. I mean,
I think it's a very universal show, your
Probably.
version especially. A lot of the jokes, I mean, just going back to last week, the ping pong show,
yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
fairly worldwide
I hope
phenomenon.
what you say is true.
Yeah.
I hope what you say is true because it you not take yourself too seriously. It's a game in which you try to find the one who did it. So that's pretty universal, I guess. But a lot of the references we use are easily missed by someone who's not Flemish.
Yeah, like the entire game in the car with the radio ads.
That's one prime
Yeah.
example, yes, because the jingles to us feel super familiar,
Yeah.
which is, it's a fun little task between two bigger task assignments, games.
Yeah,
assignments.
It's-
yeah.
What would you use? Assignments?
We say assignment, but
Sometimes challenges, assignments.
Yeah,
It's all
it doesn't really matter.
So
in the grand scheme
it's
of
like
things.
a little fun challenge between two bigger challenges, but to someone who doesn't know any of these jingles, it means next to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, when that sort of thing comes up, we know it's
only
not for
that.
us.
Oh, yeah. But most of it, I
Yeah.
hope that remains true because it's the beauty, the simplicity lies, the beauty lies in the simplicity of it.
Yeah, because I mean,
think.
just watching it without subtitles today,
Yeah.
we still get 75% of it,
Yeah.
even though we don't necessarily speak Dutch.
That's cool. That's cool because especially the first one is kind of hard to follow.
Yeah.
Well, the second one as well, I think. Well, so
Yeah, it
Doesn't
was. We can get the gist. We can get the important bits, which is all that matters.
And next to that, I want to say thank you to the sizable English-speaking community for watching and for tuning into your show, and thank you for again making the effort and the travel
it's our pleasure.
arrangements.
Yeah,
to,
it's always fun.
we have fine weather. This is
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
First, I think,
it's
no?
2 years on the trot.
Yeah.
It was really, really warm when we came last year, but it's warmer this year.
so have a lot of fun.
Oh, we
tonight.
will.
I hear the horse is getting skittish. Don't wait. Make him wait too long. 'Cause, this is not going to be edited out. I
Yeah.
think.
No, Michael,
Absolutely
keep this
not, as you
in.
well
I don't
know.
want to get to edit this.
All right, cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Thank
Gil.
you.
I'm really better in English than what you saw on the TV show. It was just because of the stress.
Yeah, understandable.
How did you watch the show? Did you have subtitles?
Yeah, there's someone who subtitles it. So this is my 5th finale that I've been at, and we've watched all the Gilles seasons subtitled,
But
which is fun.
think, what's the name of your podcast?
Reality TV Warriors.
Did you ever do an interview with Gilles de Costa?
A few times,
We've
yeah.
done a few.
Yeah, we've done.
I
We-
studied them as well.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
we've done.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We've done 2 with Gilles, and then we interview him at every finale, and
Yeah.
sort
I,
of.
yeah.
And
I
he
listened to them.
he usually emails me telling me off for something during the season. Usually giving him nicknames.
He trolls us a lot. I think
Yeah.
it's because we've been calling him Papa Bear all these years.
Yeah.
And this is just his way of getting back at us. But now he's a real Papa Bear.
Yeah.
So he
Yes.
can't even. He
He-
can't even. Yeah.
he-
No.
I sent him an email when it was announced saying, "Now we can actually call you Papa Bear, and you can't tell me off for it."
I'm sure he loves it.
Oh,
to be called Papa
he
Bear.
loves the attention. Let's be
I
honest.
think he wanted a child just to be called Papa Bear.
Yeah.
That was his main reason.
It's better than the nicknames he got last year. We just did loads of pun-themed nicknames for him last year.
What was the SpongeBob one?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
A good one.
And you ruined my streak because
Yeah.
whenever I'm here for the finale, I always pick who the mole is, and I suspected you. And now,
How can
now,
you?
yeah,
How
I don't
can
know.
you?
Right from week 1.
Yeah.
There was a whole chart. Michael's got all the data.
Mm.
And yeah, you
I'm
completely
Every
ruined
week.
it for me.
Curious to see the data.
Yeah, every week
I
he
had
suspected you.
these two
Let's
show
see if we can find it. This is our. Well, we do a first suspicions game, so this is everyone's suspicions.
Really? So these are the people?
Yeah, these are all the people, and then that's your line.
That's my line. And
Yeah.
then this is like
Yeah, so this
means
is...
that this guy
You were the first suspect, yeah.
first suspect.
Yeah, so you were...
So the higher the score, the more
Yeah.
suspect you are?
Yeah, so you were second in week 1 straight away. Average of 3 out of 10. That middle one's Logan, and I'm the right-hand one.
And then what is this?
So that's the average of all these scores.
Okay, the average. So,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's almost highest with me, and then Else.
Yeah, Else was number 1.
one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the ranking there,
And then
just to help you.
there.
Yeah.
Nine of course.
Yeah. There's
Oh.
one person had Sarah as number 1.
And then this is.
This is with everyone eliminated, so it's just the up-to-date scores.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
So
Between
with
this and this is.
is nobody going out that week. Yeah,
so it's
and then
4 episodes.
yeah, and then we take Pass and Rusiana
Okay.
out, and
So this are the scores after episode 2.
yeah, so we only do it in week 1, and
So I
then
have to scroll down. Can I scroll down?
yeah, and then I adjust them.
And then you just. I'm just not in this one.
Yes, yeah. So the colours we do a pool every year, so we draft 3 people
Oh,
each.
okay.
You
So
were
you
in.
have to-
You
yeah,
were
okay,
my last
understand.
person,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and I'm the blue. So Logan had both Sarah and Alexy, so he wins, unfortunately.
Okay, so you're Logan and you're Michael.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then here, I'm still first.
Yeah, so these ones don't get adjusted because well, it was like 44% of Flanders suspected you last week.
I have to say, I understand it from the normal people who are just watching it as a hobby.
Yeah.
For fun. On a Sunday evening, you don't want to think strategically about it. But I think if you... Maybe you guys are overthinkers.
I really
I'm
am.
also an overthinker.
Yeah.
So
Well, the thing Logan doesn't say is he's been to 4 finales and you're the first time he's got it wrong.
Yeah.
I've been to 5 and every single time I've been wrong.
okay.
So I do overthink these things.
Yeah, I think it's as an overthinker, you sometimes look too much behind.
Yeah.
I,
It's got to the point where Gilles has actually started coaching me, just going, stop overthinking
Yeah.
it. Don't look into it too
did
much.
he say that?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he laughs at me every year now.
Yeah. I'm very happy this year that very happy I found them all.
Yeah.
I was scared that I would also
Just be completely wrong.
and it's kind of it's a different experience, I guess, if you feel like you're on the good path.
Yeah.
How early did you unmask Sarah's
Well,
mole?
but there is not one thing that I can put it on. It was more a combination of things. Of course, being in a helicopter on my radar.
Right.
That's that one for sure. And then also, I heard things from challenges. Things that you think, that's kind of stinky. And then also you hear other people say things that are really not suspectable.
Yeah.
For instance, I don't know if I can say this because it's not live, eh? If
No, I'll remove it. if you
You'll
need to.
let it out if instructed to do so.
Yeah, don't worry.
We are easily
Okay.
intimidated.
But I also really watched for candidate responses. I was
Yeah.
more focusing on things that people do that are really not
Yeah.
formal to do. For instance, when we were on the rooftop, Alexy and Nimi, they were so nervous. Alexy has a beautiful chocolate color. He was white. He was white.
Yeah.
Nimi, he couldn't speak to me anymore. He was not able to say words. Because they were at that point we were kind of chill together, and I was standing on the rooftop, and it was like they weren't even there. You cannot fake being that scared, scared to death. And also, I was also putting some answers on Alexy the first time.
Yeah.
This was on my radar in the beginning. And then we came down from the rooftop and the whole elimination, and Alexy says, well, it's Dutch. It's called the Mol koffer
Yeah.
in English.
More briefcase, we were saying.
Mol briefcase.
Yeah.
But in Dutch you also have Mol box. He
Yeah.
said the Mol box. I said, but it's not Mol box, it's Mol briefcase. He said, fuck, the Mol box, the Mol box. So he used the wrong words.
Yeah.
Then I said, a mole.
Wouldn't do that.
One use like
Yeah,
the incorrect
so-
terminology.
Yeah, or you could overthink it and you
Yeah.
could say, hey, super smart of the mole to use the wrong words.
Yeah, that's what they'll do next year
That's
now,
what they
based
will
off of
do
this
for sure.
feedback.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was speaking to the guys from Trust Nobody earlier. They say you're a massive fan of the show.
yeah, I'm a massive fan.
You were in their Patreon, I believe.
Yeah, I was in their Patreon. But I also became a fan doing my research.
Yeah.
I have to say. I think they casted me being a bit la 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 la, and then when I saw I could get in,
Yeah, you
I did
committed.
want to come give
Yeah.
but that's my mom always says it. If I
Yeah.
want something, I will bite in it,
That's
and I will. So
Uh,
I kind of did. I think that the producers were a bit. Oh. She's less chill than
Yeah, I can definitely empathise with that.
Right?
Yeah, I almost got on a big UK quiz show last year, and I did so much research and then got cut at the last second. So Saunders is
And
well
which-
aware.
Which show is it?
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy.
Yeah, it's an American show originally.
What is it?
Waagstuk. Waagstuk. Is het Waagstuk nooit gezien? Right, it's been cancelled for 10 years. It used to be in Belgium, but
Yeah, it's
you're
just
too young.
it's just come back in the UK, and I came close both years. So I was.
But it's big in the UK.
It's massive in America. It's not that big in the UK.
Okay.
It's kind of flopped.
It's some financial thing?
No, it's a quiz show.
Ah,
It's
okay.
question and answers. But
Maybe
I'm super competitive. So
And a quizzer. Yeah. Oh, I studied for it.
oh yeah, 6 whole weeks of studying, and then they killed me.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Not best pleased.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you only put Sarah on your quizzes?
For the first time, yeah, the third, I know it was the second elimination. I already put more answers. The Divan Jan, the third.
Third quiz, yeah.
Yeah.
Third quiz. I was always going to spread as long as possible. I was not going to focus. But then there were people with pass
Yeah.
Yeah, Postwagen.
and I thought, yeah, I was insecure and I was doubting, and yeah, it got to me a few times. But at that time, I thought I'm going to have to be more specific on Sarah. So I put more than 1/3 on Sarah, more than 1/2. I think even more than that, more than I wanted to. And then I entered the quiz, so a lot on Sarah. And then at that moment, I thought, it's Jan. It's Jan. I've been caught by the tunnel. It happens.
Yeah.
So mad at myself. You remember I was crying and he was looking at me, don't blow your cover, you're nobody's gonna think you're the mole anymore because you're crying like a baby.
It would have been rather helpful if you did,
You're
to be
there
honest.
anymore. Sorry?
It would have been so helpful if you had.
Yeah. But you know the thing is, Pedro saw me crying, Alice
Yeah.
saw me crying, and they still voted that I was a mole later.
Yeah.
But I thought, yeah.
You're just a naturally suspicious person.
You laughed at it, but it's true. We play Weerwolven sometimes. I don't know if you know it. Weerwolven, it's
Yeah.
also like a game.
Oh, werewolf.
The traitors, yeah.
I'm always out. The moment I open my mouth, I'm out.
Yeah. First out like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you think of Thailand as a location? Did you
Yeah, I
did you
loved
love it?
it.
Were you really excited when you found out?
Yeah, I was super excited.
Yeah.
There were so many associations to make,
Yeah.
and yeah, I loved the chillness of the country, and for me the mall is also did a travel show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people really liked Italy, and I also really liked Italy. But the feeling of being totally disconnected and the culture shock,
Yeah.
that's something we had, which made us rely on each other even more because you had no reference. You didn't understand the words, and it was even a deeper experience, I think,
Yeah.
than a European country for me.
Yeah, because it's a bit further flung than the past few
Yeah,
years.
you have a different time zone, different people, different climates. You are in a whole other universe.
Yeah.
And it helps with the
But-
feeling like you're not on this world for a few weeks.
But the spicy cuisine did not hinder. The
Ever
thing you could
come to
handle the
me.
most.
No. I don't like spicy, and after this will never have spicy.
So, you won!
I did, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How early were you on to Sarah?
I think I was like from the first day. I was looking at the people that were in the helicopter that brought on the mol koffer.
Yeah.
So I'll have to say from the first day, but it took a while for me to really single her out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you start fully going on her?
I think it was the episode with the lottery.
Yeah.
With the boss,
Oh, yeah.
And people had like pasvragen.
Yep.
So I felt the heat. I had to really single one person out, or I'd be going home.
Same as Michèle,
That's how I
that.
felt, yeah.
Michèle's literally just said that herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was when she was kind of fully on Sarah because she had to take that gamble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Were you excited when you got to go to Thailand, when you found out?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was actually quite scared that the time I was allowed to go with them,
Yeah.
that it was going to be a cold country, that it was going to be like the mole in
Yeah.
the snow or something.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't up for that. I would have gone very happily,
But I was very glad that it was Thailand in the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
Instead of like you should have come to Canada instead.
Yeah, maybe
Canada in November.
the south in summer, maybe. But yeah, I'm really a warm country kind of guy.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the show going into it? You seen all
Yeah,
the previous seasons and
I've
everything?
seen all
Yeah.
the seasons, and I always watched them together with my family, and it was actually them that told me so that I should try and get on.
Yeah.
So we watch it every week, all of us together. Yeah.
So
Really fan
were they
of
really
it.
excited when they found out you were gonna?
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
doing
yeah.
that?
Although
Yeah.
my mom, she was a bit mad that I had lied to her for so long.
The one who
But
had
in
to
the end, they were
deceive the
happy.
least, and
Yeah.
you still get flack for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was it interesting knowing that Flanders didn't really suspect you at all in the season? Because you were never really up there.
No, I actually wasn't surprised. I also
Yeah.
never really did anything purposefully to make myself
Yeah.
as a suspect.
Yeah.
So I wasn't surprised that I wasn't suspected because I didn't even try. But I think it's also, I'm always, I'm just a very chill. And
Yeah, you're just naturally not suspicious.
yeah, I guess. So I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, there was another past winner, Lloyd, where it was similar, where he didn't do anything suspicious either,
Yeah.
and that helps rack up as
Yeah,
much money in
exactly.
the pot as possible to take home at the end.
But then
So it
there's
works
still
out.
some people that think like, ooh, maybe he's being too nice, and it's kind of like a double play.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, you've got one of the highest pots in a long while.
Yeah,
Have you
someone told me 6 years.
Yeah.
Since Vietnam?
Yeah. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, because Vietnam's quite high. Annoyingly, I've not got the stats to hand, but yeah, I think you're right. What are your plans for it? Have you thought about it? Well, you must have thought
Yeah,
about it
I
by
have
now.
thought about
But
it, but I'm still studying.
Yeah.
I still have a year to do, so I don't have any big expenses coming up.
yeah.
But my main goal is to not do anything stupid with the money.
Yeah.
To keep as much of it as possible. I'm gonna take everyone that was with us on the trip out for a weekend.
Yeah.
And I'd love to travel for a bit. But yeah, I'll have to give a boring answer and save most of it.
Yeah, I think Nimrod wants 5,000 euros. So
Yeah, I might have to negotiate a little bit. Yeah.
Would you have swapped the 5,000 euros for another card if you'd won it?
I don't think I would have. I think
Yeah.
I would have taken the 5,000 as well. Yeah, because we were so close to the end and we had such
A low
pot.
yeah.
We had to get some money. And I also actually kind of liked, well, especially me, because it's easy to say now, but I liked
Yeah.
that there weren't any pasvragen involved, that it was just a fair
Yeah.
contest
fair
in
fight.
the end. And yeah, even if I had the chance, I would have loved for it to be a fair contest.
Yeah.
did you have any doubts on the final quiz that it was there? Were you, because some people have switched to they suspected even on the final quiz, or be
Yeah.
like, or even winners think, oh, I'm still not 100% sure, but I still have to go with that.
Yeah, no,
at the end.
I didn't. I never said that I was 100% sure, but I wasn't gonna switch in
Yeah.
the final anymore because I'd gotten that far, filling out my test with Sarah in mind. So to switch it at the end would just be stupid. And if I would have ended up being wrong, I would
Yeah.
have just taken it. Okay, I was wrong. I didn't know. That's it. I wasn't gonna switch it out in the end. That would have been a bad idea, I think.
Yeah. Annoyingly, I said to him after the second challenge, I'm not sure it's Michèle anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, we both thought it. We've had a streak
Yeah.
going on where whenever I come to these finales, I always pick who the mole is. And this
Yeah.
is the first year I was wrong, and then
Oh,
this is the
okay.
fifth time he's
Yeah,
been here.
5 in a row
and he's
now for
always
me.
wrong. So he picked the same person as me,
So
hoping
you-
he would get it right for
Both
once.
wrong again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
it was independent this year. It just so happened I was
Okay.
more comfortable because you selected it, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was wrong again.
Validation.
Gilles wouldn't enjoy us being here if I wasn't wrong. Every year he laughs at me now. He comes over and goes, "You're wrong." Just
Well,
tackles in my
I've
ear.
actually never been right either.
No.
Watching the show, I've never uncovered who the mole is. So
It's
this is the first time.
it's
Yeah.
different when there's almost 30,000 euros.
Exactly,
if
it's
you're
more
right.
high stakes.
Yeah, when you're there and you've actually got a reason to
Yeah.
want to win.
What was it like spending almost 3 weeks with Papa Bear Gilles da Costa?
Ooh, it was great actually because it was nice to get to see like the personal side of him because
Yeah.
on TV as very formal, stately, suave kind of guy. So it was nice to see him let his hair down and to come sit with us and have a drink. And yeah, it was really cool.
If it hadn't been Thailand, where would you have wanted it to be? Just anywhere warm, or
I was hoping like Hawaii.
yeah,
Yeah.
That would have been really cool. Or New Zealand. One or the other. Yeah. But like we have warm countries.
yeah. I mean, I think he looked out because
Yeah.
Logan spent 6 months in Thailand during.
Yeah,
COVID.
I lived in Phuket
Oh,
for 6
wow,
months
okay,
a few
yeah,
years
yeah.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the weather. It can't get warm enough for me, honestly.
Yeah. Was there a particular challenge that stood out for you in the season?
I
That's
love
your
the
favourite one?
Dragon Boat race.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great because it was a team, like it was all of us
Yeah.
giving everything, and then we won by
A
just
fraction.
a couple of centimeters, and then the moment we all fell in the water,
Yeah.
I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah. Also, we were so hot, and also Nimrod, he had
Yeah.
said that he really didn't want to fall into the water
Yeah.
because there were these really big fish. And then he was right next to me, and I saw him panicking.
Just anytime there's a koi pond now in a mall or something, just push Nimrod in.
Yeah. But then I might actually have to
Yeah.
give him the 5,000 euros.
Yeah.
Also. I'll try and keep Nimrod happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't fall into a pool of water with like his phone in his pocket or something, then it's all good.
Yeah.
And do you know what a ping pong show is now? We just
I
just
do.
need to clarify.
Michèle explained it to me in the most vulgar possible way.
Yeah.
But I'm still not interested though.
Yeah. It's just that reveal last week. It just really made me laugh.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
this.
I can
Now you
imagine.
learned about happy endings in this episode, as we saw. At least the happy
Yeah, that
ending.
was Sarah's edition, so I learned a lot in Thailand.
They're both corrupting you.
Yeah. I was a really nice guy when I
Yeah.
went in, but now
You're innocent when you went in, and not so
exactly,
innocent
yeah.
now.
Now you have to open up a Batman club too. Now.
yeah.
Oh yeah, are you going to take up Muay Thai after being on this season?
Ooh, actually, I didn't do very well. Maybe it's not for me. I
Yeah.
guess I'll just keep playing basketball. I'm not a great fighter, I think.
Yeah.
At least you wouldn't have to wear the harmonica mouthguard now. If you
Yeah,
did
I
Muay
hope
Thai.
so. Never again.
Everyone's going to be really confused now if it's anything that involves a mouth guard. Like, there's no harmonica attached to this. Why are you asking if there's a harmonica and a piano mouthpiece attached
Yeah,
to
I'll
it?
be paranoid for the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's corrupted you, this show.
Yeah.
I think that's it then.
Yeah, I think we've. Anything else would just be really random questions, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time then.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming all this way.
Yeah, we enjoy it. It's our favourite thing to do every year.
Yeah. Everyone's
Yeah.
always really confused why I'm here
Yeah.
each year. It's like, why'd you come in from Canada for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it always makes me laugh when we check in and it's just Engels exclamation point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Followed
yeah.
by a question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great talking to you guys.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you too. Cheers.
Thank you.
So it's currently just 5:15 and I'm wandering around taking pictures before the Great Unwash get here. The finale was so good, and we didn't unfortunately get to meet Sarah, but Alexy and Michèle were both delightful. I don't actually know if the Michèle side recorded, unfortunately, but if it did, then you will have just heard a fantastic interview where she wished me good luck with Jeopardy in future, amongst other things. Yeah, it's a lot of fun today. It is 6:07, and I'm currently just stood out in the roundabouty area on an Annalise hunt because Saunders was going to head out and see if he could find her. I don't think she's here yet, but she's here at every finale. She can't not be here. We know who the mole is, and I'm making sure there's no one around when I say this, because the mole is Sarah, and I was wrong, and unfortunately so was Saunders, and I shouldn't have trusted him, and Bindles hasn't woken up yet and does not know that he is 100% correct on the finishing order, which is rather irritating. Speak soon.
Once again, huge abundance of people outside at Kinepolis. Or Kinepolis. Apparently I've been pronouncing the name of this place wrong for like the past 6 years, and I just had no idea about it. I just walked by Mr. Gilles Van Boel. Wonder how tired he is of me tagging him in that meme of when he's really exhausted at running in the Argentine subway. Well, you think after 7 years, he's probably thinking, okay, I get the joke, Logan. I get it. For the second year on the trot, I just spotted Mr. Jeffrey Van Linden. He is not very far from where I'm standing. Do I go over there to make another briefcase joke? I think not. What's funny is that less than an hour ago, the entire final three were here for the private press screening to do all of the interviews with us and the other Flemish media. So all they do is just take them to a separate building and then bring them back to the exact same building in the limo for the red carpet arrival. I wonder how many people think I am Flemish media when really I'm just a Canadian guy with a podcast that I co-host. I'm not as important as some of these people think with me holding this microphone right now. Michael earlier got to see Papa Bear Gilles Costa's baby. Unfortunately, I found out that I am not the godfather. Very disappointed. Just spotted Elizabeth from the Vietnam season. Then Van Boel is bringing through a bunch of people. Oh, it's a bunch of alumni. Kami. That woman from last season, yeah. I can't remember her name. No, not last season, Arizona. One of the early boots. Why can't I think of her name? Oh, there's Bert. Yeah, Lancelot. Oh, there's Senna's funny mustache. She still has that mustache after all this time. Yep, the Asian woman from last season. Why can't I think of her name? They're all walking through. I think Uma or Anka just like sprinted through here. She was running so fast I couldn't even record it on video. Oh, a few more people are spotted. Oh, people are looking through.
So it is 5 to 11 now, and the end of our Deus Mol finale. And as is traditional, we have to first give thanks to Papa Bear and Isabel and everyone at Playfair for inviting us again. And most importantly, thank you to Papa Bear for finally adhering to his promise and giving us merch.
I got a pass, Froggen.
You did, and that Vrystelling is going to be pride of place in my house somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. I'll have to decide. But yeah, even the candidates were really jealous that we got them, which is hilarious.
Yeah, you had to put them in your pocket right after everyone was just eyeing them up as if they were going to do the old 5-finger discount and swipe it.
I deliberately didn't tell the guys from Trust Nobody that we got that, just in case they then start pestering Jill going, why didn't we get that? We have more listeners.
Yeah, in fact, while we were watching the finale in the theater for the second time, there was somebody who walked by us, because Trust Nobody always gets seated next to us every year at the finale, and wanted a photo with them.
Yeah, wanted a selfie with Nelica and Elga. So, thoughts on Sarah as a mole, I guess, Saunders?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit on the way back after watching it a second time, and I was thinking about this subject too over the past few hours, is that, as always, a great season of Belgian Mole.
Yeah.
But it just didn't have that punctuation at the ending like in recent years, like last year with Senna as the mole in that whole finale episode. And, of course, the shocker of Kami being the finale the year before. And the controversial finale with the Canary Island season. We just didn't get that oomph at the end.
Yeah, Gilles kind of admitted the same thing that we'd suspected, which is that deliberately this wasn't a high-concept season. This was a much more back-to-basics season, and deliberately they weren't doing an overall theme like Italy ! Last year or
Arizona.
Movies in Arizona.
Yeah.
I think, I was saying this to you on the way down, I think it reminds me a lot of South Africa in that I've always said about South Africa that it doesn't really matter who the mole is because it's just a fun season. And I think Thailand is going to be the same. It doesn't really matter that Sarah's the mole. I don't think she's maybe the most dynamic mole that we have seen out of the 10 now in the Gilles era, but I don't know whether that matters.
Yeah, it's not like she was a bad mole. It's just she doesn't stir that reaction like other moles have in the past. For me, it reminded me a bit of Peter, where I wasn't very overwhelmed or underwhelmed when Peter was the mole.
You were just whelmed.
Whelmed, yeah. And I think that's the overall takeaway with Sarah, where solid episode. But one thing I noticed in the theater too, compared to other years, I wonder if Papa Bear noticed it, is that the audience didn't have as intense of a reaction to certain events throughout the episode, like the other two, or I guess other three finales that I've been here for now.
Because nobody laughed at the Navy SEALs thing, which I did in the press room.
Yeah,
like as soon as the Navy SEAL reveal happened, I laughed my head off because that's the sort of stupid shit that this show does, and no one even reacted in the theater.
Yeah, so I'm curious if that's because these big finale events serves also as a way of feedback for Papa Bear and the production crew. So I wonder if they thought the same thing as I did, where maybe what they had planned for the finale didn't go over the way they thought it would. Not in a bad, or not like it was bad or anything, because
I love how we are just kind of very hyper aware that we know Papa Bear listens this season, and we're just like, we don't want to criticize it too much.
No, because I don't think it's even really a criticism in this case. It's more of the audience. The feedback from the audience, where like the cheering, or just the general shock. Like, people weren't super shocked that Sarah was the mole, because I think it was most people thought it was Michèle.
It was 44-40-16. I think was the final three. Yeah,
I was judging mainly by like the applause and reactions when they were asking when they did the red carpet event. The noise for Michèle was by far the loudest, and then Sarah, and then Alexy was
there.
Was like 1% of. There's this one cluster of people that were thinking it was Alexy that were really loud, but just the rest of the 3 or 4 or 5,000 people that were outside during the red carpet at the time were just completely silent, except for this cluster of about 20 people, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely discuss this in the next couple of weeks of episodes, but I think they were unlucky in the fact that both Alexy and Michèle were on Sarah by week 3, and like really on Sarah purely as a necessity by week 3. But I think they were also a little bit unlucky that Alexy lasted so long when he's so unsuspicious. He was really, really nice. I was way impressed with meeting him, and I understand why he was cast, and he was fascinating. But he is not suspicious in the slightest.
No, it was exactly. I'm sure I've said this 3 or 4 times today already, but he reminded me a lot of Lloyd in terms of just. And it's a good strategy when you think about it. If you know if you're very confident as to who the mole is, and you've already gone straight ticket on the mole, so you already have that confirmation in a way, then your focus should be just to earn as much money as possible.
It just skews everything else when you have someone who is so blatantly a contestant.
Yeah, because what was Mexico's pot? It was fairly high up there, similar to Vietnam, right?
Yeah, Vietnam was higher, but I think that was basically waved away by the fact that Elizabeth was chosen on location. It's about 24, I think, off the top of my head. I've not got the laps about to
so very similar number, where we're just talking about the difference of one challenge in terms of it being in the same range as the Mexico pot, because that's what it reminded me of. It's just because that's what Lloyd did. He said, I'm not suspicious at all. No one really thinks it's me in this Mexico season. Why not just try and, make the pot as big as I can, so I take all that money home with me? And that's what Alexy did, and that's the second time we've seen it work in the Belgian version.
Yeah, and I've said this to Bindles on chat, and I said this to you earlier. I feel a little bit bad about our treatment of Alexy during the season, because we just were so not on him. We were very dismissive of him because he just wasn't part of the episodes.
At least I did pick him out as the winner, where I just pick. He just seems like a guy who's just really
chill.
Yeah, and of course, to figure out who the mole is, you have to be observant. But even when we were talking to him, he didn't have any doubts that Sarah was the mole.
And he was way more interesting in real life, I would say, than he was portrayed on the episodes. And that isn't necessarily a criticism of the editing. but I think in a group, he's just a bit of a quieter personality, and it's very difficult to show that on TV in a successful way and still keep him part of the episodes.
Well, just think of who was in this cast. You have Rusiana, Hilde, Else, and Pedro.
Yeah.
And Nimrod.
And Nimrod, yeah.
That's a lot of people to try and overshadow over the course of the season. So I'm not... And then even in the final three, he was in the final three with Sarah and Michèle. And again, probably Sarah and Alexy had the two quietest personalities out of all 10 people this season.
That we saw, yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting that they both ended up in the final three, and they did get their time to really showcase themselves, even if in the other episodes we didn't really get to see them that much.
Yeah.
Compared to Michèle, or because even Rusiana lasted 2 episodes, but we got a lot of Rusiana content.
I was kind of blown away with how charming Alexy was, to be honest. He was super interesting. And I just don't think we necessarily saw that on the TV, unfortunately.
Yeah, he could definitely get that underrated label. And I think it's part of why the finale maybe wasn't as big of a home run compared to recent finales, is because you had Alexy and Sarah both in the finale when they hadn't really been, I guess, established as characters. Is that what I'm looking for?
Yeah, because if you, going back to your point about the big characters, if you think, who have we seen go home in the last month? It's been Nimrod last week, then Pedro before that, then Hilde, then Else.
Yeah, so the 4 biggest characters all went home leading up to this finale.
That's a pretty unfortunate boot order, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah, so I think it's a deep contrast to last year, where Bernard was very established right from episode 1 because of the doubler, and
Michèle, obviously.
Michèle, of course. Michèle was the biggest character, arguably, in every episode all season.
Yeah, and maybe the biggest character in België.
Yeah, and
he's certainly up there.
And then Senna, of course, who had his own presence as well.
Yeah.
So
I think it's hard coming off the back of a season like Sicily, where the final 3 were such massive characters, and arguably even the final 4, Charlotte was a very big character as well. But I think this is very much, as we've said in the episodes, a bit more back to basics, maybe deliberately with the lack of theming, but also maybe accidentally with just how everything shook out. And I think België is a show that doesn't live or die on who the mole is, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Isn't that what Papa Bear himself said today? That
I think
or something similar. I feel like that came up in the chat.
Yeah, I think Papa Bear was maybe alluding to the discussions that we've had on the recaps with that, because I know I've said it a few times that this season is very much not a big, massive overarching theme season, whereas the last 2 especially were, and maybe the last 3.
And I was thinking, too, it was part of another discussion we had with Papa Bear, too, about how it's up to the contestants whether, when we were talking about the challenges, whether a challenge passes or fails is on the contestants. He always gives them a fighting chance. Yeah. It's not like the Dutch version where
it's lopsided.
It's lopsided. If production wants money to be taken out of a pot, they'll design a challenge to make sure that money is taken out of the pot where pot drains are guaranteed, as opposed to having a way out of it. So it's interesting to note that everything is where the contestants choose their own destiny, which is the whole idea of the mole, for the most part, of just the only person who's responsible for going home is you. Yeah. You don't get voted out. But it's interesting to note that there's, even if you don't get that, I don't know, cinematic, high octane type of episode or type of season, that you can get through a whole season, feel satisfied with how it all played out, and that's what makes you tune in again next year.
Yeah, and the other element of that is, going back to the discussion about why I'm always wrong on finales, is they design the challenges so that the mole can sabotage in any position. So you can't necessarily read into the position that someone takes, because the mole can sabotage from any position.
Yeah, it's just they can't maybe sabotage the maximum value within a challenge.
There's always a plan A, B, and C.
Yeah, and you can't really say, "Oh, I can't believe they didn't put the mole in this spot where they could have been pivotal." Well, that itself would serve as a clue to always figure out who the mole is every single season. If you always have the mole in the most pivotal role in every challenge, they have to be in roles where they can't impact everything, and maybe they only take out 500 euros out of the pot out of the possible 5,000 in a challenge, because otherwise you're always going to be able to figure it out, and that's not really fun either. If it's, well, for some people it might be to always be right.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. But just that whole idea of, no, you can't stick to a certain formula for how the mole plays the mole role every time. It has to be a little bit different each year.
Yeah, it goes back to what Michèle said. She was talking a lot to us about the fact that she's a massive overthinker, and so am I. And I feel like that's probably the problem that I have with België, is I just massively overthink it.
I think it's the first finalist interview I can recall where we're interviewing somebody and they just spend 5 minutes looking at all of the data that you have.
Yeah, she was fascinated by First Suspicions. I think Suspect List would have blown her mind a little bit if I'd shown her that.
But yeah, still, again, when you compare it to American and Canadian reality shows and the state they're in right now, which is not good.
Yeah.
And then you get this season where it's just, man, this, even if it's by overall in the whole like Belgian mole timeline, if it's not your absolute number one favorite season, my God, is it still 10 times better than anything that's really been put out by, maybe except for, I'm trying to even...
I think
maybe like Traders Canada.
Traders Canada /
like
Quebec is the closest competition for just straight up wall to wall bangers, but that's only been 4 seasons total. Well, 3.5.
Yeah.
So far. So, as I said to Gilles, like, no other show matches the level of consistently great TV. And there's a very good reason that you fly thousands of miles and I fly hundreds of miles every year to sit in an Antwerp hotel room chatting. But this is just a fantastic show, and I don't want anyone listening to think for a second that we are down on this season or anything, because
it's more just to fill up time for these. We've been doing this for 10 seasons now, just on the Belgian version. We only it kind of reminds me of like the online fans of like of other shows.
Don't compare us to them, please.
But just where every season they'll complain about X number of things or have very repetitive complaints, just because they have nothing interesting. It reminds me of like when I go to trivia, sometimes there's one person who just complains about the food and, oh, the questions are too easy, questions are too hard, the chair is too uncomfortable, just so they have something to talk about.
I'm not sure we've been, not even critical, but I'm not sure we've been this critical of a season at a finale before. But I think it comes off the back of 2 really, really good seasons. That's the problem. If this season had happened in a different place in the timeline, I think we'd probably have less to nitpick.
If it was like right after, say, like Mexico, I think that's the one season we both don't rank high compared to the others.
I think, I mean, Arizona injected it into our veins in terms of the theming and in terms of the placement and everything. And Sicily was just a fantastic season as well. I think this season was always going to struggle to live up to those.
Yeah.
Because those 2 are both probably A+ seasons, whereas this one is maybe A-.
And then Canary Islands is like, I think it was someone on Discord said it a while ago, it's just a brilliant season to study in a laboratory because of just how a production crew puts up with everything that could go wrong, that goes wrong.
Yeah, it's Charlie Brown season. That's how I've always described it. It is a Charlie Brown season where everything production tried to do, it just fails somehow.
Yeah. So imagine that season and then Arizona and then Sicily all in a row. Like, how do you...
Yeah, how do you live up to that?
Yeah, how do you keep up to 3 of the most ridiculous seasons of any reality TV show ever airing all in a row?
And I don't want anyone to think that we're just being the sort of people who comment on the Amazing Race subreddit, because we're not. It's just this season is a lot more back to basics and quiet, I think, comparatively.
Yeah, because one thing I was thinking of last week, like, what's What's the big moment from this season?
It's probably the ping pong challenge in terms of the memorable visual that they like to hook something on.
Yeah, I think they re-showed the clip from the ping pong challenge about 5-6 times.
But it's notable that it's the first challenge without Pedro, without one of the two big characters of the season being there.
And the watermelon challenge stuck out in my mind.
Yeah, but even that,
Kaput.
I'd sort of forgotten about the watermelon challenge, even though it's super cool and even though it's the elephant challenge, really, and all that sort of stuff. I'd sort of forgotten about it until it was a big thing this episode. I think if in a year, if you asked me to remember what the big bit of this season was, I don't think I'd say the watermelon challenge.
And it's interesting that Papa Bear also referenced the budget limitation with not being able to go up to, with not being able to go down to Phuket, and then he singled out Chiang Rai specifically. So maybe I'm reading into it too much, but it sounds like he was a little bit, an ounce of disappointment that he couldn't that he couldn't figure out a way, because he said it was really expensive to fly or either fly or transport all of the whole. He said the team was bigger this year. That was interesting to to know.
I presume it was an element of local fixes in there as well.
Yeah,
I presume that might have been a requirement with the Thai government issues.
Which could influence where they go in future seasons, because I was telling him about it when we were talking to him. From personally living in Thailand for 6 months and dealing with Thai bureaucracy to get visas renewed, there's a lot of patience involved, and when he was telling a couple of those quick stories of it being frustrating for him, I was thinking, that sounds very similar to my experience.
I think you could tell there were a couple of frustrations from the production side from when we spoke to Gilles.
Yeah, because when you look at where they went in Thailand, because a lot of people that may not have even been there before that listen to us, but they didn't cover a lot of regions in Thailand. It was pretty much Bangkok as their base. They went up to Ayutthaya, which is like a
hour and a half, 2 hours away at most.
If you're driving, train can be a bit longer depending on delays and stuff. Because I think it was like 2 or 3 hours there, 2 or 3 hours back for me. And then they went to Pattaya, which is very close to Bangkok.
Yeah.
And they stuck around, and then both of the locations used for the final 3 episode was also near Pattaya. So it's interesting that they didn't even get anywhere up outside of that like center of Thailand. When you look at the percentage wise, when there's Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Pai, all in the north, and then in the south you have Phuket and Krabi, because he was wanting to go to Krabi too. Not right in the center, because there'd be a lot of Belgians, but just even just that province he wanted to reach, and they just couldn't make it work.
I wonder what impact it's going to have next year with their feeling on Thailand.
Yeah, because that's one thing to note too. I don't, out of all the times we've interviewed Papa Bear, I don't recall him having that many criticisms for a location before. I'm trying to think of all the stories he told about all the other seasons. I think this is the first time that they were where the season they ended up filming in didn't go 100% smooth, which is interesting to think about. And so maybe some of the shortcomings that he felt about the season did come across on TV too, especially like, for instance, today he wasn't like super
energetic.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be an interesting season to look back on.
Yeah, where it's like it's not like it went, I didn't get the impression he thought it went poorly, just he was like it could have gone better in terms of logistics, I guess.
There's room for improvement, I think he felt.
The potential, probably what was envisioned in terms of all the possibilities, especially in a place like Thailand, especially coming from my personal experience. Just there is so much to do there, such diverse landscape. When you do involve Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai, Pai, Bangkok, Phuket, Krabi, and you're not even getting into all of the little island areas like Koh Samui and all the other ones.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting to look back on this season. Because, yeah, I could feel the frustration from Papa Bear a little bit.
Yeah, and then he's going to comment next week saying, "No, you guys overanalyzed. You were overthinking."
This is where we finally get the email off him this week, just going, "Nah,
you're wrong.
Nah, retract that immediately."
Please edit this out. But I'm just thinking, because what they've always been really good with is when something doesn't work out to its full potential, it's always amended in how production moves forward. For instance, with Philippe and Canary Islands, from that, after that happened, now they always have Van Boel on location to help out with the mole getting through the whole experience. And now they've had, from what I understand, nowhere even remotely close to Philippe's situation again. Yeah. And I wonder if it's going to be one of those times of, okay, if we're going to pick a location that is similar to Thailand, or just any location really, we have to have a better relationship with the whole tourism board or whoever they're working with in the local government to make sure they can pull off the A+ standard that everyone has come to expect of them now. It's such a high bar they've set for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, if this was certain American reality shows, we'd be like, we'll take literally any good season. Yeah. Whereas, I mean, as I said, I think this is a to A- season. I don't think it's as lofty as the previous two, especially. But I still think it was a very good season of television.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong in the slightest.
Yeah, it's just when you have so many big moments over the past 10 seasons and the way that a lot of these seasons have played out, it's interesting to see one where, you lose all your big characters leading up to a finale, and you're not even left with a final three of bad or negative characters that you don't want to see on TV. It's just, look at who went home.
Yeah.
How do you have 7 people like that out of 10?
I think
most seasons of reality TV, you get 1 or 2 out of 10 that really pop off the screen.
Yeah, I think it was easier to see why Alexy in particular was cast when we met him rather than when we watched him. I think he is just a bit more reserved in the group.
It'd be interesting if Alexy was cast, say, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
How he would operate in a group.
Yeah, I think it'd be completely different.
Because Michèle and Sarah both in their...
Sarah's 36, Michèle 35.
Yeah, I was about to say. That's a bit of an age gap.
Yeah.
And then of course you have Hilde and Pedro, who were both 40 and over. And then you have Nimrod, who just has who is around Alexy's age, but
is already in a stable career.
Yeah. The banker, yeah.
Yeah, as much as we joke about what the difference between 23 and 24 is last week, like, there is a big difference between being a student and being in your established career. Yeah. Even though they're only like a year or two apart.
Yeah, so we've seen that with other seasons of reality TV too, where you can have 2 contestants who are even 21 years old, and there's one who acts like a 21-year-old in the like really immature way, and then you have another 21-year-old who is just where you're just thinking, wow, that person's only 21.
Yeah.
So it's interesting just how different trajectories Alexy and Nimrod have at the moment.
Yeah.
While Nimrod in the finale was playing with an elastic in his mouth. As we're talking about him having an established career and getting all serious and and really charismatic. I think that's the word.
Yeah.
I think that's what separates them, is just that Nimrod has somehow just fallen into just being an extremely charismatic person where eyes just end up on him. Even from the first episode. I mean, just even having just the name Nimrod, too. You don't know too many people with that name.
I think that's the end of the diary, then.
Yeah, we managed to extend another 30 minutes of this.
Yeah, that'll let it down. Don't worry about that. I'll cut most of your stuff. Anything you want to say at the end of the diary?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good season, a really fun season.
I think that would be the best way. Just a fun season from start to finish.
Yeah, I think from our perspective, it was probably the most normal of our diary episodes. I think we have a bit of a reputation of being slightly giddy at finales, and I'm not sure we are today, which is nice.
Yeah, well, we've done this dance before.
Yeah, too many times at this point, some would say. See you next year?
I think so.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll be back next year if Saunders isn't.
Yeah,
Only if
I
Saunders
think
isn't.
I think I've got some countries in Central Asia I want to hit up next May that aren't as accessible during winter time when I'm normally in East Asia. So, yeah, I think I'll be back here again next year.
Yeah, we'll see.
And go to Turkmenistan or something.
We'll be back Thursday. See you soon.
Peace out and just chill till the next flavoring.